Third POV. It was a quiet day at UA High School, one of, if not the best hero school in the world. It would be nice to that it was a normal day as well, but given this world full of superpowers, heroes and villains, and typical teenage high school drama, any semblance of the word normal has been proven moot. Nizu was walking around the school whilst classes were going on, hoping to hear about any gossip, to intrigue his intelligent, sadistic mind, or find any evidence of any possible leak to the League of Villains. Nizu hated the thought of a traitor among the school, be it student or staff member, but after multiple encounters with the League that only UA staff would know about and many of the students having the right quirks and intellect to eavesdrop easily, the evidence that one of their own was a leak to the villains was growing more and more evident. They haven't made a move so far, but it is good to find out, so that we do not get caught with guard down again, Nizu thought. Suddenly, as he was walking outside of Gym Gamma, a mysterious portal suddenly materialized. Nizu jumped back, startled. A villain attack, he thought with confusion and surprise. Nizu looked at the portal that appeared in front of him, careful to not be too distracted against a swift attack, and quickly deduced that it wasn't one of Kirager's warp gates. The warp villain's gates were swirling portals of black and purple mist, whilst this portal was instead blue and cosmic looking. Nizu quickly reminded himself that the warp villain was also in custody and locked away inside Tartarus prison for the better part of a few months, so the portal being some upgraded version of his quirk was highly unlikely. Nizu also noticed that the school's alarms weren't going off, meaning that it wasn't some outside intrusion of a quirk being used, so it was even more mysterious. As Nizu took hesitant steps towards the portal out of a sense of curiosity, an object materialized out of it. It was a large black box, highly advanced looking as evidence of the neon techno lines coming from it. On top of it was a note taped onto the box. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the portal shut close and vanished into thin air. Nizu was in shock at what occurred and hesitantly walked towards the box, cautious if it was a bomb or trap of some kind. As he reached it and examined it critically, he found no such evidence of explosives or mechanisms that would indicate a trap. He looked to the note taped to the top and opened it. As he read it, he grabbed his communicator and said, "Aizawa, report to me by Gym Gamma. I have quite the surprise." An hour later, Aizawa arrived to where the mouse-bear hybrid principal was after a few minutes, noticing and looking to the mysterious box next to the principal with confusion and suspicion. Nizu explained to him the events that occurred recently, and they decided to call up the teachers, especially Powerloader to inspect the box, and the visiting pro heroes to report to the teachers' meeting room. An hour later, the teachers and visiting heroes arrived to the conference room. The teachers consisted of Nizu at the head of the large wooden table, Aizawa, All Might, Midnight, Present Mike, Cementos, Vlad King, Powerloader, Snipe, Ectoplasm, Recovery Girl, 13 and Hound Dog. The visiting pro heroes included the current #1 hero, Endeavor, Miruko, Amilady, Ryukyu, the Pussycats, Kamui Woods, Death Arms, Fat Gum and Gran Torino. They were all confused as to what merit another meeting so soon, and the bow that the principal had beside him. After they finished sitting down, Nizu spoke. "Thank you for convening on such short notice." Endeavor spoke up, blunt and angry as always. "What is this meeting for? I was hoping to see my Shoto's progress when you had to call off the training session and sent the students back to their dorms." "Apologies, Endeavor," Nizu responded. "But this situation is of dire importance." "What is it, sir?" All Might said. "Does it involve that black box you have there?" "That is correct, All Might," Nizu said. "Earlier today, a mysterious event occurred right before my eyes. As I was walking by Gym Gamma, a mysterious portal opened up in front of me." The heroes went rigid, surprise and unease evident at the news. All Might quickly said, "Was it the League again? Was the portal Kurojire's doing?" They all knew about the warp villain and his troublesome quirk all too well, but we confused if it was him, due to his recent imprisonment. "Impossible," Gran Torino said. "I locked up the smoky bastard myself. It's impossible for him to use his quirk outside or inside of Tartarus." "Thankfully you are right, Gran Torino," Nizu said. "The portal I witnessed was blue with a more spatial and cosmic appearance towards it. inconsistent with Kurogiri's warp gates. However, as I went to slowly investigate it, this object materialized out of the portal, with the portal closing shut afterwards. What could it be? Midnight mused. A bomb or some kind of trap. I at first thought so, Mizu responded. But after I carefully investigated it, I found no signs of any trap or bomb. Regardless, I called in Power Loader to investigate it before you all arrived. Yeah, Power Loader said. I did a once-over on the device, as much as I could without dismantling it, and I didn't find any explosive ornaments or traps in it. In fact, the design and engineering of the device is extremely high-tech, maybe more than anything we have currently in the world. The box also came with this note taped to the top. Mizu held out a letter and began to read it to the heroes. Dear whoever it may concern, this is a message from beyond the corner of creation. My name is Wizard, but you may refer to me as Wiz. I'm from another Earth, more specifically, Earth 420. I know that may sound insane, but if you found this box, then you should have also seen the portal that was used to transport this precious piece of cargo. I find myself quite the genius, and with the creation of my new multiverse warp gate, I have invented first-hand human access to multiversal dimensional travel. The heroes were shocked at what was said. Despite living in a day and age where quirks of varying degrees of weirdness and absurdity, the very concept of traveling through dimensions and universe was both mind-boggling and unbelievable. Mizu continued read the note. The reason for this letter and for this package is a rather grim one. You see, in my universe, me and my college, sometimes best friend and sometimes annoying headache, Boomstick, yes that is his name, run an internet program known as Death Battle. We're using our advanced technology to scour information throughout the infinite multiverse and compare it to our world's information and connection. We study, analyze, and pit two or more combatants from two different universes into simulated battles to the death to prove who is the superior fighter. Barbaric at first, sure, but it was all the name of good fun and entertaining for our audiences. We intended it to be a fun, harmless program where our viewers could figure out which heroes, villains, or individuals were to come out victorious in a consequences-less battle to the death. The heroes' faces soured at the notion of a battle to the death, but were eased at that they are simulated recreations. Endeavor, being the battle-hungry and his history with proving he is the strongest and best of the best, paid more attention at this death battle. All might thought the concept of battling to the death was indeed barbaric, but figured that a fight to prove who the strongest was seemingly justified, as he could picture his successors, Izuku Midoriya's, rivalry with Katsuki Bakugo. What we didn't expect was quite disturbing. Our country's government approached Boomstick and I, already aware of our capabilities to peer and study the multiverse, and demanded that we contribute all our research and technology to them and to work under them so they can create their own army of super soldiers. Me and Boomstick, of course, refused, but were given a month to comply or we would be hunted down, eliminated, and have our work taken anyway. Now the heroes were truly shocked at the implications of this. Whilst the heroes can agree that some, if not most, governments can be easily corrupt and extreme at times for the sake of national defense, to go so far to achieve such an end for power was disturbing, especially for Mizu as he read, as similar product of government experimentation. With little choice left, me and Boomstick decided to pour our efforts into a final gambit. We uploaded all our research, including unreleased videos and data, into this one data box. All our lives' work, stored into this final treasure. Me and Boomstick then secretly scoured the internet, mostly me, and wiped all traces of our videos, programs, and ourselves from the net. Yeah, I'm that good. Me and Boomstick also created the multiversal dimensional warp gate to send our life's work out into the multiverse with instructions to travel to a random universe with the intent to safeguard our work from those who would exploit it. However, the gate can only send non-organic material through, so we cannot go with. As I write this, we have destroyed all our work and now prepare to flee into exile before we can master this technology and retrieve the box from hopefully safekeeping. We will also destroy the portal so nobody could travel or track down the device and interfere. To whomever obtains our work, be cautious. Such knowledge, I now know, is a burden and a great responsibility to wield. I implore whomever obtains this to keep the data safe until we can retrieve it ourselves. In the meantime, you may watch our videos and enjoy yourselves, but be warned, should any tampering or attempts to copy and duplicate our work for ill intent, the device is programmed to self-destruct and erase all of its data completely. So please don't. This has been Wizard. Keep our device in safe hands, and I will see you all soon. Wiz. The heroes were left speechless. They felt pity for these Wiz and Boomstick, if their names are to be believed, about their situation and hoped that they are okay right now in their own world. Aizawa decided to speak out. This information, if true, could be quite detrimental if it got into the hands of the villains. If these two individuals were able to peer into multiple dimensions and we just so happened to be included, then if this got out to the villains then we would be at a severe disadvantage and in serious danger. Mandalay cut in. If we are included in the data, as Eraser suggests, then they could gain access to our real-life identities and weaknesses. The heroes mumbled in agreement. Snipe decided to shoot out the question. So what should we do? Keep it locked up and hidden away until these two show up. Nizu responded. That was what I had in mind at first. But after careful consideration, I believe I have come up with a solution to this predicament, as well to our leak problem. All Might still didn't like the idea of a traitor among the staff or students, but nevertheless asked, "What do you propose?" Nizu simply smiled and said, "Aizawa, Vlad King, All Might, inform the students of class 1A, 1B, the Big Three, and student Shinso Hitsoshi of General Studies and Mei Hatsumi I of Support Course to report to the auditorium. We have some videos to watch." Meanwhile at class 1A Heights Alliance dorms, Izuku Midoriya was sitting in the common area with the rest of class 1A. He was sitting and eating a bowl of ice cream, thinking about the recent events that had transpired earlier today. Many pro-heroes, including the likes of Endeavor and Miruko, appeared to view their progress and give helpful tips on how to utilize their quirks. Izuku was especially glad to hear the Pussycats were also coming, mostly because Kota would come too, wishing to see if the boy was doing okay. He also thought it would be good for Eri to know another person around her age. But before their training session could even begin, Aizawa got a call from Nizu and postponed the training session until further notice and, from the looks of it, called in the rest of the teachers and pro-heroes into a sudden meeting. Izuku and the rest of his class now sat in the common area in their school clothes, told to stay there and wait. Of course, with the training session postponed so suddenly, it had the rest of class 1A talking. Momo, Azui, and Kyuko were discussing among themselves as to what the teachers were discussing. It had to be urgent in some capacity to bring in the teachers and all the visiting pro-heroes, including Endeavor, Ryukyu, and Miruko. Koda, Sato, Ojiro, and Tokoyami were wondering if the practical cancellation of the training session and their waiting could be a possible villain attack on the school or nearby. Mina, Toru, and Aoyama were passing the time along by break-dancing, Shiro and Uraraka cheering them on. Mineta was currently sulking in a corner, mumbling something about being unable to show off to Miruko or the female pussycats. Todoroki was thinking to himself quietly, with a tiny smirk on his face. Izuku didn't want to assume or be grim about anything, but he felt that Todoroki might be smirking about being kept away from Endeavor for a while longer, and knew that being called away from his prized creation would be irritating. Bakugo was, typically, pissed off that the chance for him to kick the extras' asses, especially Deku since they were paired against each other, was practically cancelled. Kirishima and Kaminari were trying to calm him down, and Ida, meanwhile, was trying to keep everybody in line, waving his arms like a robot and wildly, which made Izuku chuckle. As for Izuku himself, he was currently watching Eri and Kota get along, the son of the water hose heroes cutely blushing as Eri compared her horn to the ones on Kota's hat. Izuku smiled and talked with the two, Eri clinging and holding on to Izuku, much to Kota's jealousy. As Izuku played and talked with the two kids, he didn't notice the girls turning their attention to Izuku. The girls smiled happily and warmly at the sight of Eri riding on Izuku's head, like he was a pony, and Kota throwing punches at Izuku's open palms, trying to show off his own strength to his unofficial idol. Izuku, eyes closed, let out a chuckle and smiled. A smile so bright that seemed to make the sun pale in comparison. The girls blushed brightly, each with their own thoughts at the sight. Deku is so sweet and charming, Uraraka thought. Adorable, Ribbit, thought Azui. Midori is so cute and sweet. Ehe, were Mina's thoughts as she held herself immensely back to not rush over to hold him. He looks like such a doting and loving father to the two. He looks so cute and yet handsome, Momo mused internally, her hand clutching at the seam of her shirt as her heart ached and longed for Izuku's smile on her. Dang, I knew Izuku was sweet and charming, but now he looks cute. Kyuka thought, blushing wildly, trying hard, and failing to deny herself what she thought and desired. OMG, Izuku is so cute. He's like a super cute bunny cinnamon roll. Toru squealed in her mind, practically bouncing on the spot. Shiro noticed Mina and Toru stopped dancing and looked over to their line of sight and smiled at the happy sight. Todoroki also noticed the group of Momo, Azui, and Kyuka stopped their discussion and looking over at Midoriya. While he smiled at the sight of Midoriya being such friends with Boy from the training camp and Eri, he wondered that caused the girls to look at Izuku with such blushing faces. Were they sick? Or could Midoriya's smile be so bright that it is like moths to a flame? Todoroki also saw that Izuku's smile looked similar to All Might, both in display and effectiveness. This got his mind ticking at his dad might theory. While the other guys noticed Izuku's time with the kids, and smiled at the sight, except Bakugo, who scoffed and seemed more ticked for some reason. None of the guys noticed all of the girls' blushes or stares at Izuku, except for Oyama, who smiled mischievously and pondered if he should inform Izuku or subtly push him into the right direction. A moment later, Aizawa came into the common area. Alright, class, quiet down and line up. Principal Nizu has called in an assembly, so stop what you are doing and get ready. Midoriya, bring Eri and Kota along too. The students got themselves together, especially the girls from their blushing states, and lined up, except for Ida, who was telling the class to line up, oblivious to him being the only one that wasn't lined up. Izuku also walked with Eri and Kota holding his hands, making the girls practically rush over to get behind Deku. Reasons. Reason 1 was a simple one, to get closer to this sweet and caring display. Reason 2 was more hopeful. Hope that Izuku and the two kids notice one of them, and since they made it obvious that they see him like a father figure, that they might see one of them as the mommy, especially the innocent Eri. And reason was they're secretly perverted, and openly perverted to the minds of Mina and Toru. Get a closer, more discreet look at Izuku's slightly bent over, firm, good-looking ass. Mina won, smiling mischievously and in victory at the girls behind her, who silently fumed, especially Uraraka, at their defeat. They fumed even more in jealousy as Eri noticed Mina, and also innocently asked about Mina's own horns. Few minutes later they arrived at Gym Gamma. As they arrived, they also saw Vlad King escorting Class 1B and All Might escorting the UA. Big Three of Mirio Togata, Nijire Hado, and Tamaki Amajiki, and Histoshi Shinso from General Studies, soon to be Hero Course student in the second year. Class 1A were confused as to what would garner the whole of the first-year Hero Course, the Big Three, and Shinso to be summoned to Gym Gamma with the teachers and the pro-heroes. Nizu spoke up. Alright, now that all the students are here, let's get started. I'm sure you are all wondering why we are all here and why we had to cancel Class 1A's and Class 1B's individual training sessions. Well, earlier this morning we had received quite the surprise and gift. A gift from another world, in fact. The students were all confused when they arrived, but now they were all completely lost. Gift from another world. Were they hearing that right? Judging from serious faces of the teachers and pros, they though right. Nizu continued with, the specifics would be tedious to explain, I imagine, so I will simplify it. In short, a pair of individuals from another dimension created a device that could transport inanimate objects into other universes. They did this with the intention of hiding a box full of data and videos in hopes of safeguarding it in our universe from the hands of their corrupt government. The students were now shocked at the news of what they have been told. Izuku grimly noted that the fact that they sent this box to another universe instead of keeping it and hiding it meant that they couldn't hold on to it or travel with it, and, at worst, was a last-ditch effort. Nizu kept it up with, "The information that is stored within this box is filled with videos and data on a program called the Death Battle." Some of the students cringed at the name, except for one smirking, spiky, ash-blonde hair pyromaniac. It claims to contain data extracted from other different points in the multiverse, ourselves potentially included, with the intent to gather this data and create simulated matches between two or more individuals to see which one would win a battle to the death. The students' opinions varied, from thinking of it as a fun and creative experience, since it was simulated, while others thought it vulgar and barbaric to have these matches be to the death, even if simulated. For Izuku, he started to sweat profusely and internally panic at Nizu claiming that their own world is a potential world that they gathered data from. Izuku panicked, thinking that if they could gather data on individuals enough to have two or more clashes to the death, from perhaps strengths, weaknesses, and backstories, then they could very well have gathered info and data on perhaps all of them, which would be detrimental if the villains were to gain possession over it. But what worried him most was that they could have gained information on All Might and Izuku, especially about One for All. Izuku knew that if the villains had that particular piece of information, the Izuku wouldn't be safe and villains from all over the world would try and steal it, harming his friends and peers in the process. But that still doesn't explain why they were all here. Ida decided to unknowingly ask his question. If that's so, what is the purpose of our meeting here with the pro-heroes and the work being done over there? The work being done was referring to seeing Cementos manipulating a large amount of cement and MHA and Power Loader working on a large white screen and pieces of machinery, along with a mysterious black box that Izuku deduced was the device that was sent over. Nizu answered, with the note that contained this information. We are also informed that the creators of this box and program will be working to one day bring themselves over to our world to find the box and find a safe haven from their pursuers. In the meanwhile, the note also claimed that we can use the device to view their work, and I thought it would be a splendid idea to invite the first-year Hero Course students, along with Mr. Togata, Mr. Amajiki, Ms. Hado, Ms. Hatsumi, and Mr. Shinso to join us, the UA teachers and pro-heroes, into watching these death battle videos. The students were shocked, yet excited at being able to watch the videos but still had questions as to any logical purpose in doing so. Momo asked, "Could you please explain why you made this decision? Whilst I admit that I find myself curious to watch this death battle, I can't help but not find a reasoning behind this." Izawa answered, "It was agreed upon that in watching this program that it would work in benefit to the teachers, pros, and students. If the information is accurate in that these fights are simulated matches between beings that reside in our apparent multiverse, then it would mean that they are real and that if one universe was able to access interdimensional travel, then so could others." The students' eyes widened at the implication of what they were getting at. Midnight jumped in with, "To put it simply, we believe that if these individuals do exist in our multiverse and that such technology or even abilities with the power to go through other dimensions, that they could use that technology or power and potentially travel to our world. And if some are of villainous intent, then it would be beneficial to learn of these potential threats should they ever come and know how to defeat them." All Might finished with, "Plus, some of these individuals could also be heroic or have powers similar to those of you students, in which you could learn from their abilities and incorporate new moves and ways to further train your quirks to their fullest potential." The students eased at the final words from All Might, glad that, as always, All Might managed to give them a sense of peace and comfort, even after his retirement. The students then got excited about being able to find new ways to enhance their quirks by learning of other multiversal individuals with similar abilities, maybe even learn if some of these combatants are different versions of themselves or others they know. Nizu continued with, "We have also enlisted the assistance of Ms. Hatsumi from the support course to help, alongside Power Loader, in creating a viewing screen capable of incorporating the data of the box safely. We also have ectoplasm and Cementos create seats for all of us to sit down and relax." Bakugo then spoke up, rather bluntly and rudely as always. "Why don't you just hack into the damn box and download the fucking data instead of accessing it?" Monoma from Class 1B interrupted with, "Humph, typical of Class 1A and their villain in all but title to resort to thievery and taking and using the work of others to better themselves." Bakugo didn't take kindly to the insult and screamed out, Shut the hell up, your piece of copying. Hypocrite. We were all already going to use the damn thing to better ourselves. All of us, including your pansy ass. Plus accessing it means it's more likely to be a trap and unleash a fucking virus. While the students and teachers sighed and frowned at Bakuga's language and behavior, they did see where he was coming from. His concerns about trusting the words of strangers and a seemingly unknown machine with unknown capabilities. Before Monoma could angrily retort, he received a chop to the side of his neck from Itsuka Kendo, the Class 1B rep, knocking the blonde copycat out and gave an apology for his behavior. Nizu spoke up, despite the vulgar language and attitude. You are right in your concerns, Mr. Bakugu. Trusting in an unknown device that claims to be from another world is a big pill to swallow and trust. However, we have investigated the device and found no signs of a trap or virus inside the device. Furthermore, the note also explicitly said that should we try copy or tamper with the device's data or function, then it will program to self-destruct. So in order to preserve that knowledge and not run the risk of having the device explode with an unknown yield that could very well threaten the entire school, including by tampering with the self-destruct program, it is better to access it rather than copy it. The students nodded at the reasoning. Bakugu simply made a TCH-sounding scoff and remained silent. Nizu continued, now with all these formalities and information said, I believe we have some death battles to watch. Nizu turned to Power Loader and Hatsumei and said, Is the screening device ready to go yet? Mei hopped up front from what she was doing and said, Yes, sir. My latest incredibly baby, the data projector reader, is up and running. With this baby of mine, we will have the perfect viewing experience and access the data from the box with little to no danger. Plus, I've added some neat little features that will sure to come in handy. The students, especially the likes of Izuku, Uraraka, and Ida, were not fully convinced of Mei's little to no danger claim. In fact, they were even more worried. Nevertheless, the teachers, pro-heroes, and students all got themselves seated on the finished seats. Starting from the bottom row of 10 seats, and going in order from left to right from the screen facing them, sat Mei, who opted to stay as close to the device as possible, Ida, Azui, Uraraka, Izuku, who had Koda beside him in a mini-seat, Mirio, who also had Eri in a mini-seat beside him and Deku, Amajiki, Kirishima, Bakugu, who was typically pissed that he wasn't at the center, and Siro. The second row housed Shoji, Toru, Mina, Kyuka, Momo, Todoroko, Nijire, Tetsutsu, Kaminari, and Mineta. Row 3 held Ibara, Yui, Itsuka, Monoma, Shinso, Ojiro, Koda, Tokoyami, Sato, and Aoyama. Row 4 included Reiko, Kinoko, Setsuna, Pony, Jirota, Rin, Sen, Shirhai, Kamakiri, and Hananuki. Row 5 had Vlad King, Tiger, Ragdoll, Pixie Bob, Mandalay, Aways, Cozy Eye, Shindo, Manga, and Bondo. In row 6 sat Midnight, Present Mike, Eraserhead, Nizu, who was supported by a booster, All Might, Gran Torino, 13, Snipe, Ectoplasm, and Power Loader. And finally, row 7 had Lady, Kamui Woods, Death Arms, Cementos, Recovery Girl, Endeavor, Miruko, Ryukyu, Fat Gum, and Hound Dog. Sorry for the long list of rows, but just make a grid and you can pretty much see how the people are seated. Now that we are all seated, Nizu said. Miss Hatsumei, may you please do the honors and start the program? Right away, teach. Hatsumei said with a salute. As Nizu saw the support course student activating the machine and the students talk about what they will see, Nizu thought back the secret reason they are watching these videos. Flashback. Back in the meeting room, the heroes and teachers were confused as to why Nizu asked for all the hero course students and teachers to watch this death battle. Lady raised her hand and asked, not to be overly blunt, sir, but how is this a good idea? If there is a leak in the school and could very well be one of the teachers or even the students, why run the risk of having everyone take knowledge of the device and even see it? Sounds like a recipe for giving the villains valuable intel. Nizu nodded and responded, I'm afraid I cannot answer that, as if the teachers, including the people in this room, are the leak, then to reveal any sort of trap or plan to catch this leak would be proven useless if someone hears the leak and knows about it, though I also can't fully prove to you all that I am not the leak either. For now you will have to trust my judgment and know that secrecy is the best form of making this situation the best it can be. The teachers and heroes nodded their way and suspicious of nearly everyone in the room. They decide to trust the genius animal and hope that he wasn't the leak himself. Flashback over. As before, Nizu hated to suspect the teachers, heroes, and most especially the students, but it was a necessity, for they can't have the League play them for fiddles any longer than the Avenue. Last times, All Might was around to ease people and stop the villains' ploys in both the USJ incident and the Camino Ward incident. But now that the symbol of peace has been forced to retire and has lost his powers, any mistake up to this point could be proven more disastrous than anything they have seen yet. So Nizu knew that if one of the students were the traitor, then one of them will try to steal the valuable information and get caught in Nizu's trap. If it was one of the teachers, then they know that the genius principal of UA has a trap in place for anybody who would wish to steal this valuable set of information and would make no move in fear of getting caught. And if anyone tries to record or copy information here, then they would risk the info's destruction and/or be exposed by the number of individuals in this room. And if any of them were to try and sneak out to inform the villains through phones or other devices, then Nizu's hidden cameras around every nook and cranny in UA will notice them and inform Nizu. It may not be the most elegant or thought-out plan, but it was the best the rodent principal could conceive in such a short period of time. Nizu could only hope that all goes well. He watched as May raised a large remote and pressed a button, and the large screen in front of them turned on.